Okay, first of all, that title is really confusing. What do you mean for Resident Evil? Now, I've talked about it a little bit here and there before, but I love Resident Evil. There's just something about this series that's just super appealing to me. Some of my favorites are the original 1996 PS1 game, the remake, and basically all the RE Engine games. Minus that one. I consider RE4 Make to be one of the best games in the series, if not one of the best games ever made. I really want to make a review on that when I get the chance, which is honestly really surprising considering my stance on the original game. I didn't beat it, but it was definitely pretty frustrating from what I remember. So yeah, I was never really a fan of OG RE4. But that's all about to change, hopefully. With my love for the remake, I want to see if my opinion on the original has changed at all, so without further ado, monsters. Guess after this, there'll be one less to worry about. Resident Evil 4 needs no introduction, with the development history being one of those gaming stories everyone knows at this point. But if you don't know, the development was pretty hellish with scrap prototype after scrap prototype. After the team accidentally created Devil May Cry and Shinji Mikami got tired of the tedious dev cycle, he wrote the story in like a week so they could get on with the rest of the game. If you take that into account, it's surprising that RE4 became one of the most influential games of all time, with the over-the-shoulder perspective influencing games like Dead Space, Metal Gear Solid, Uncharted, and God of War 2018. Resident Evil 4 was also ported over to countless systems, debuting as a GameCube exclusive before Capcom threw their exclusivity deal in the garbage and ported it to every console known to man. My first playthrough was on PS5, but for this playthrough I'll be playing the Steam port with the HD graphics and PlayStation button mods. I won't compare it to the remake too much since the original is doing its own thing and I'm gonna try to judge it on its own merits. I will say now though, the remake's addictive gameplay and stronger story with more ties to the rest of the series are both reasons why it's my new favorite game in the series, and some of that is absent here, so that's a bummer. But hey, at least this game is funnier.
Are you out of your mind?
I knew you'd be fine if you landed on your butt.
And I mean it, the story in the remake kinda goes crazy. I recommend watching the Sphere Hunters video on it, she does an incredible job. Now, I wasted enough of your time already. Let's play some Resident Evil 4. 6 years after the events of Resident Evil 2, Leon Kennedy, the sexiest man alive, has been recruited by a secret government organization, and his first mission as a cool, badass action movie hero super spy man is to travel to this rural European village to rescue the president's daughter. Right off the bat, the art direction is saucy as hell. I'm in love with the brown, dreary colors that completely drench this game. For a game released in 2005, it still looks beautiful 20 years later. I'll get more into the art direction later, but now I can talk about another thing about the presentation, the writing and voice acting. It's,
Oh yes, I let our miserable insects out for some exercise down in the sewer.
Thanks. That should keep me company, 'cause boredom kills me.
well, it definitely adds to this game's comedy. I think the voice acting is hilarious, especially from Paul Mercier's Leon.
Well, I really don't give a damn. Rain or shine, you're going down.
As for the writing, I wouldn't necessarily call it good, but I can appreciate that they weren't trying too hard to come up with a story, and I should just sit back and enjoy the ride. Speaking of which, once we make it to a lovely little shack, we can finally start to play the game. As mentioned before, this game is what popularized the over-the-shoulder perspective in gaming, and it's put to good use here. What's weird though is that, like its predecessors, Resident Evil 4 features tank controls. Now, I like tank controls just fine, but I'll admit it feels pretty weird having them in an over-the-shoulder game. But once you get used to them, it's fine. It's not like you're gonna be doing much other than hold forward anyway. Now that we met one of the Ganados, Leon demonstrates the diplomacy he learned back when he was a cop by immediately shooting him in the face and kicking him to the floor. Maybe I was on fucking crack when I played this on PS5, but I definitely like the combat a lot more than my original playthrough. The aiming is pretty accurate, and it's really satisfying to shoot an enemy in the head and see it explode with that sound design. It's euphoric. It's also nice to stun an enemy, run up to them, and kick them to the ground, especially when other enemies around me get knocked back as a result. And they always throw dozens of enemies at you to ensure that the combat always feels so frantic and varied. I'm having a blast as early as chapter 1, and this game doesn't even have the remake's parry system, which is something I had to get used to. The village is a nice little tutorial to help you get accustomed to the combat, and there's plenty of ganado here to test your skills. The default gun is nice, and I eventually traded it with the Punisher, which is the same thing but better. Other weapons feel nice too, like the shotgun or riot gun used for crowd control, or any of the grenades. Though I wish there was a way to easily switch between weapons, like the remake, but whatever, I don't mind pausing to switch. That and the fact that you can't move while aiming, but once you're used to that, it's just another factor you need to take into account when fighting. This game has some neat enemy variety too. There's the normal ganados, the ones where the plagas burst through their skull and are weak to flash grenades, incredibly durable chainsaw enemies, garadors, which are these blind, aggressive, mutated humans, bear traps, which aren't really enemies, but I can't find another spot to talk about them, but looks like the ganados gave the cop a warm welcome, so we return the favor, and now it's bingo time!
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
He definitely practices these dorky lines every day when he wakes up. Huh. I know in the remake you can deactivate these with the press of a button, but when I approach these here, there's no button prompt. There must be some way to deactivate them safely, right? Hunnigan informs us to keep following the trail to look for Ashley, and our next stop is a small farm. Back to the art direction, it really does go hard. The village has this air of mystery as you trek through these foggy woods and rundown buildings, wondering what the hell happened here. The ambient music really helps add to this feeling of isolation and loneliness. We're stuck in this unwelcoming forest with little to no modern technology and no allies minus a couple characters we meet along the way. However, every time you need to do something, there's these big bright button prompts that show up on the screen. It takes you out of the immersion and it's just kind of annoying, but I guess I'll take it over yellow paint. Man, it's actually pretty peaceful out here. Oh god, no! Yeah, every now and then they'll throw a quick time event at you to keep you on your toes. Never put your controller down when there's a cutscene. Ever. After Leon wishes he was Chris Redfield, we meet Luis Serra. Unfortunately, in this game, Luis is kinda a nothing character. He has a very minor purpose, while the remake gave him more depth and an interesting, tragic backstory. But hey, at least he's sexy in both games, I mean. Anyway, one thing I don't like about the remake is that they changed this line.
I have only one very important question. You got a smoke?
Got gum.
How observant, senor. Now, say, you got a smoke? I know those things will kill you.
Once we free Luis, we're introduced to the village chief, Bitores Mendez, the Big Cheese. Leon gets humbled and the ganado inject Leon with the Las Plagas parasite. When we wake up, Luis and Leon escape from their confines, Luis runs away, and we meet the merchant.
Over here, stranger.
Since this game is less survival horror and more action-adventure, resource management is kept to a minimum, with helpful items being found in every breakable box, crate, or enemy. Bullets, green herbs, and even some treasures you can sell to the merchant for more pesetas, the in-game currency used to buy more inventory space, treasure maps, new weapons, or upgrade the ones you already own. Stuff like faster reload speed, higher ammo capacity, that sort of thing. You can also do certain requests for more treasures, like hunting down all the blue medallions in the farm. I gotta be honest, I like the shop system in this game. It's pretty rewarding and it works for the kind of game it's in. Not to mention the merchant is one of the most memorable characters in the whole game, sprouting iconic lines like, "What are you buying? What are you selling? Thank you." The merchant really is the funniest character here. The US government didn't send him to aid Leon. He isn't in cahoots with the villains. He's just a guy who wanted to set up shop here. Oh, and speaking of items and resource management, before the remakes introduced the ever so useful feature of automatically sorting your items, games like these had us play inventory Tetris so we could organize shit ourselves. As you can see, my inventory is getting pretty full, but I need this big black bass, damn it. Anyway, now we go inside Big Cheese's house and he tells us we share the same blood, which sounds awfully suspicious. After Big Cheese leaves, Hunnigan informs us that the ganado are part of a cult called Los Illuminados.
Los Illuminados. That's a mouthful.
Then we continue to the church where Ashley is being held. Big Cheese briefly comes back and we get saved by Ada Wong. That's pretty weird. It would make a lot more sense just to have all this happen in one cutscene with the Hunnigan talk after Ada saves us, which is something the remake fixed. But anyway, after we make our way through this dark underground tunnel, collect more treasures, and kill more people, we make our way to the church, which looks like the most cliche, spooky, happy Halloween haunted house ever. This looks like the Mad Monster Mansion hub area in Banjo-Kazooie. But regardless, the church is locked, so we have to go to the lake to get a key. I heard you got a special achievement for shooting a lake a few times, so let's see what Okay, now we have to fight Del Lago, a salamander mutated by the parasite. I don't really like Del Lago, sorry. It's fine, it's simple, it's whatever. All you do is throw harpoons at it until it bleeds out and dies. The aiming and steering can both be a bit clunky, but I don't really have it in me to complain about it that much. At least it's a short boss fight. After Leon passes out due to eating too much Chipotle, he wakes up 6 hours later to continue his mission. We find the cult insignia used to unlock the church, and we fight El Gigante. I think I missed a document earlier, but I think El Gigante is the only child who could bond with the parasite at all, and the other children died, as you can see from the abundance of skulls in the village. I think El Gigante is a much better boss than Del Lago. You just shoot him a couple times. I recommend the shotgun or riot gun to save time.
Hey, it's that dog.
This is common knowledge at this point, but rescuing the wolf from the bear trap in chapter 1 will make him help out during the fight, distracting it so you can have extra opportunities to shoot. There's also QTEs to dodge incoming attacks, as well as the one climbing onto its back and slashing the parasite with your knife. Afterwards, we rescue Ashley, kidnapped for her incredible hearing powers, no doubt. Next, we actually meet up with Lord Sadler in person way earlier than in the remake, and man, I'm used to his soft-spoken, intimidating as all hell depiction from RE4 make, so seeing this goober just tickles my funny bone.
We just planted her a little gift. Oh, there's going to be one hell of a party when she returns home to her loving father.
Afterwards, Adam Sandler tells Leon that he and Ashley have the dormant Las Plagas egg in their system, the same Plagas that turned the ganado rabid. I don't know, I just thought that's how Europeans normally act. Anyway, the cult's plan is to control the US and then the world by sending Ashley back home with the parasite still inside her. We then escape by jumping out the window. This is the dumbest game ever made. A document in the shack outside reveals Luis found out they injected him with Las Plagas, but he surgically removed it from his body, so before we return home, we have to find Luis to remove the parasite from our systems. Okay, let's talk about Ashley now. Ashley is... whatever. She's here. She exists. She's kind of annoying, really. I prefer her characterization and design in the remake, but here she seems like this bratty, immature child. I get that that's kind of the point. Like, she's the pampered first world problems, white bread picket fence president's daughter, but I just don't vibe with it. You can press R1 to command Ashley to either wait in one place or follow you around. She's fairly easy to handle, so at least she's not a hindrance during gameplay. Something not featured in the remake is that you have to keep an eye on her health, so if she gets hit, you need to feed her some healing items, giving them a little more worth, which is nice. It's an extra little challenge for us. You can also force her to hide in garbage bins when enemies are nearby, but we can worry about Ashley later, because now it's cabin fight time! When we're surrounded by a horde of Ganado, we take refuge in this cabin with Luis. They give you a ton of resources and a ton of enemies to fight. You can temporarily barricade the windows by pushing shelves in front of them, but afterwards you gotta unload everything in your arsenal at these things. It's so fucking fun. You can even push ladders to fuck with the enemies climbing them. You can even annoy Luis to make him kill you.
Adios, Leon.
Though the ending is a little lame. The enemies just kind of get tired and leave. I can kill her! In order to pass this gate, we need Big Cheese's false eye to trick the retinal scanner, so now we gotta fight him in this oven. I don't really have much to say about this boss. You just shoot him repeatedly, there's 2 phases, and that's that. The music is this unexpectedly ambient track that was a little odd, but I guess it's fitting. Now we actually go into a new location, the castle. The castle throws a bunch of new stuff at us, like zealots, complete with arrows, flails, shields, flaming catapults, a new evolution of Las Plagas, and of course, everyone's favorite piece of shit, Salazar.
I have been honored with the prodigious power from the great Lord Sadler. I've been expecting you, my brethren.
No thanks, bro.
But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. The opening bit with the catapults has got to be my least favorite part of the game so far. There's little to no indication when and where they're gonna fire, and it's just tedious. This was the point where I dropped the game during my first playthrough. You're supposed to shoot the barrels so they'll blow up and stop the catapults from firing, so there'll be some trial and error. But after that, we lift this cannon to shoot the door open, and we find out that the Wi-Fi here is horrible, cutting contact with Hunnigan for the rest of the game. Inside, Luis promises to help get the Plaga out of us, so he slips away to retrieve a suppressant. At this point, I was pretty fucked since I used up most of my resources, so I was literally crawling on my hands and knees helplessly looking for something, anything. The fight with the Garador was really intense as a result, as well as the infamous water room. I ran out of ammo when I was supposed to be protecting Ashley while she operates a crank, but thank God she barely made it. Are you fucking kidding me? I guess Ashley got tired of me killing her because she runs away only to get captured afterwards. Here's where we see that Salazar hijacked our comms, being a little stinker and sending invisible bug enemies our way. How thoughtful. I was still low on resources when I was in the sewers, so the bugs didn't exactly give me a warm welcome, but it went pretty quick once we lowered the water and went further into the castle. The mysterious music and the overall mansion aesthetic kind of reminds me of Resident Evil 1's Spencer Mansion. We also get a document written by Salazar explaining that Sadler is the one who converted him to Los Illuminados, and the Plaga spread out into the village after the fact. There's also some neat puzzles here where you gotta shoot the wine on this painting, more enemy gauntlets, this odd mini-boss where a zealot pulls out a machine gun, which is an okay boss, albeit a little repetitive. The gallery puzzle where I kinda just got lucky, and of course, the garden.
Sagacious as I am, even I get lost here sometimes. Even if it takes your whole life, you'll never get out.
Actually, the garden is pretty easy. You can kind of cheese it by going up the stairs in order to locate the treasures and moon pieces to unlock the door. The wolves can be really annoying, but if you have a riot gun, you'll be fine. Next, we finally get introduced to Ada Wong.
Bit of advice, try using knives next time. Works better for close encounters.
To my surprise, Leon tells Ada he knows she's working together with Albert Wesker. I knew this game was pretty disconnected from the others, but I guess the Wesker mention is where the connections begin and end. This scene does raise an interesting question though. Why is Ada working with Wesker? I assume he hired her to get the Las Plagas sample for himself before Sadler can carry his evil plan out to the world, but before we can get answers, Ada throws a smoke bomb at us and vanishes. Okay, question. I know Ada Wong is Chinese, but does she have a little Latina in her? No? Oh, okay. Would she like to? Oh, fuck. No, I was joking. No, let me out, let me out! Oh, thank God I did it. Now, how do I get out of here? Oh, okay. Since we're on the subject of Ada, I guess I'll take this moment to briefly talk about the extra campaign, Separate Ways, which is earned after beating the game in all ports except for the GameCube version. I really have nothing to say about it. It's basically the same game but extremely short, where you take control of Ada for 5 missions which you can complete in one sitting. She's a lot more stylish than Leon, but she controls the exact same unless you count the occasional hookshot. The only other noteworthy things here are the fact that Albert Wesker is present acting as Ada's Hunnigan, and the cutscenes are pre-rendered now, even the ones that are recycled from the main game, probably because they're ripped from the PS2 port. But yeah, Separate Ways is definitely worth playing. Let's get back to Leon now. Okay, this seems pretty simple. I just gotta time this one perfectly. Luis returns with the suppressant, but he gets killed by Adam Sandler. I was a little shocked since he dies way earlier here compared to the remake, but I guess he served his purpose here, as small as it was. And again, his death isn't as impactful, so next. Now we gotta shoot these restraints to free Ashley and... Oh, not again! In order to catch up to Leon, we take control of Ashley, and Well, I'm sorry I have to do this again, but the Ashley section, it made a little more sense in the remake since Leon was trapped and you had to free him. But here, all she's doing is walking around to catch up to him. It just kind of feels a little thrown in there. But regardless, Ashley can crawl under tables, throw lamps at enemies, and basically that's that. Besides this section introducing the Plaga in shining armor enemies, it kind of just ends before it starts. Now that we're back to Leon, Salazar tries to fuck with us, and Leon says my favorite line in the entire game.
Why don't you do us all a favor and leave before the audience gets pissed off?
I don't know why that one in particular always gets me, it just does. Afterward, we leave Ashley to enter this lava room as our next goal is to complete the Chimera tablet to advance forward. This room is pretty cool, having treasures available if you shoot down the zealots operating flamethrowers, and wiggling around the one at the end grants us the final Chimera piece. Okay, Salazar, I get the whole spikes on ceiling thing, but if you don't want us to escape from an easily avoidable trap, don't include 4 obvious weak spots on it. What are you, stupid? Next up, we go to this massive hive and we're introduced to the Novista doors, more bug enemies. Ashley gets herself kidnapped again because of course she does, and Salazar wants to start a ritual that'll turn her into a member of Los Illuminados, so time is of the essence. After more enemy gauntlets, puzzles, and an especially tense encounter with these 2 Garadors, we catch up with Salazar and piss him off by, well, literally not falling for this trick. Now that we're in the sewers again, we reach this industrial area where we gotta turn the power onto the elevator, and we're forced to deal with Salazar's right hand for 4 minutes.
I've sent my right hand to dispose of you.
Your right hand comes off?
You can dodge, duck, pray you don't run out of healing items, and knock over nitrogen tanks to slow it down until the elevator comes. Next, Adam Sandler is displeased that Salazar is taking so long to kill Leon, so he gets the aid of John Krauser to finish the job. We'll talk more about John Krauser later, but for now, I just remembered the target practice minigame exists. I get these bottle caps as a reward, but I don't know, they look kind of useless to me. What? Of course I didn't examine them. Oh. Oh. I swear I'm gonna get those bottle caps if it's the last thing I do! The next location is the mines where Los Illuminados dug up the fossilized Plagas. Besides the dual Gigante fight, which is essentially the same as the first fight if you drop the other one in the lava Bowser style, and the chainsaw idiots being a real pain in the ass, the only other noteworthy thing that happens here is the minecart section. Here, enemies will try to gang up on you while we're on the move. It's like the cabin fight, but we can switch from cart to cart, dodge incoming wooden beams, use the riot gun because it's your best friend here, especially on those damn chainsaws. And it caps off with a goofy QuickTime event. Oh, and the goofy QuickTime events don't stop there, because immediately afterwards we come across the fabled giant Salazar robot, and after we flip a couple switches, we get this. This game continues to impress me with how stupidly amazing it is. I think that's the best way to describe this game, honestly. Stupidly amazing, but the Salazar boss fight is just plain stupid. After we piss him off one last time, Salazar and his other bodyguard fuse with this giant Plagas hive mind thing for the fight. We're supposed to shoot the big eyeball enough so Salazar can hatch from his cocoon so we can shoot him. There's QTEs for dodging, plenty of barrels and Plagas on the floor to farm for resources. In all honesty, it's actually kind of fun. I'm a big fan of Salazar's stupid quips, he's still a riot. However, cool, a one-hit kill. Yeah, they don't give you enough time to process this attack, so for example, if you're firing away with the semi-auto rifle, you won't have enough time to run out of the way. And if that wasn't enough, the boss goes on for too long, so having a one-hit kill and then having to do the whole thing all over again? Yeah, not good. Once it's curtains for him, we make it to a dock where Ada offers to give us a ride to the island Ashley is being held at, but as we see soon after, Ada still has her own business to attend to.
Got some business to take care of. See you later.
Women.
Common complaints about the island I keep hearing is that it's not as atmospheric as the rest of the game, nor does it really add anything new or interesting, with the gimmick being a modern military aesthetic to the ganado we've been fighting throughout the game already. That, and it's kinda a sudden tonal shift going from a medieval castle to this. Honestly, I do understand these complaints. Like, I do agree that the transition could have been a little more natural, and I think it's kind of lame that the only enemies here, for now, are just reskinned Ganado, but I don't know. I don't think it's the worst thing ever. Besides, this is the final area in the game, and the combat music really helps hype me up for the grand finale. The only other notable things in this area are the regenerators, a highly durable bioweapon created by Los Illuminados. You can defeat them and the Iron Maidens once we're granted the thermal scope for our rifle so we can shoot the parasites inside them. That and the bulldozer section, which is pretty much the cabin fight again, but this is the point where the whole horde thing is kinda not as impressive anymore. I will say though, Ashley driving this thing is fucking hilarious. Oh, by the way, we rescue Ashley again, but after the bulldozer part, Adam Sandler controls the Plagas in our bodies, and Ashley unfortunately succumbs to Sadler's mind control, separating with Leon again. I mean, hey, at least it's a better reason than last time. Now we can talk about John Krauser. John Krauser is Leon's old friend back when he was training under the government. John Krauser is also the one who kidnapped Ashley, but he's also working with Ada to get the Plagas sample for Wesker and possibly revive the Umbrella Corporation. After the really cool knife cutscene QTE, Ada saves Leon and we go through this goofy laser hallway, the goofy chair, and we have to fight it.
Ah, I have an idea. Since you're here, why don't I introduce you to it? It should keep you busy.
Can't remember the name, huh? A senior moment, perhaps.
I don't really like it. We have to find a way out of this labyrinth while avoiding its attacks, and then we get to the area where we can shoot it to death. The boss fight against it is kind of whatever, but the John Krauser fight is badass as hell. Holy shit. John Krauser isn't really in this game that much, but goddamn does he make an impact. The location is infinitely cooler, being these sandy ruins under the night sky. John Krauser is powered up by bio enhancements, so he's fast, durable, and he sprouts a gross tusk arm thing for the second phase atop this tower rigged to explode in 2 minutes. I was pretty mad when I took a wrong turn and I blew myself up to pieces, but thankfully I didn't have to do the whole boss all over again because I had a rocket launcher on me. Sadler tells us he didn't trust John Krauser and was thinking about how to get rid of him, so he thanks us for the favor, returning it by shooting down our helicopter. After the funny scene where Leon temporarily succumbs to the Plagas and chokes Ada, she snaps him back to reality so we can take the suppressant. Then we rescue Ashley, Ada slows Adam Sandler down, and bing bang boom, we remove the parasite from our bodies just like that. Now time for the final boss against Adam Sandler on this stormy dock.
What's so funny?
Oh, I think you know. The American prevailing is a cliche that only happens in your Hollywood movies.
Watch out guys, they're becoming self-aware. The final fight is pretty good. Not as good as the John Krauser boss personally, but pretty fitting for this game's final boss. You can shoot eyeballs to stun him, smack him with a crane, dodge his attacks, and as per Resident Evil tradition, Ada gives us a special rocket launcher we can use to deliver the finishing blow.
Catch. Better get a move on. See you around.
Very cute.
Afterwards, Ada leaves to get the sample to Wesker. The island is set to blow up in 3 minutes, and we escape with Ashley on a jet ski. After we barely make it, avoiding collapsing stalactites and going on ramps to speed up, we literally make it to the light at the end of the tunnel, riding off into the sunset.
So, after you take me back to my place, how about we do some, overtime?
The credits show doodles of how Sadler convinced this poor village to convert to Los Illuminados and their slow descent into madness. A pretty ominous way to close this game.
Hunnigan, is that you?
Finally, the line's jack free.
Hey, Hunnigan, no glasses.
Forget the glasses. What's the status of the mission?
I've rescued the subject. We're returning home.
You did it, Leon.
Thanks. You know, you're kind of cute without those glasses. Give me your number when I get back.
May I remind you that you're still on duty.
Story of my life.
Never mind, I knew I could depend on you, Leon. So yeah, without a doubt, this game is one of the best, most influential games of all time. I wasn't a fan of it during my original playthrough, but now that I played it properly, I can say that this game has addictive combat, fun exploration, hilarious dialogue and performances, beautiful locales, and overall, it's just a charming mid-2000s romp through another interesting and unique location from the Resident Evil universe. It's not without its flaws, like some bosses aren't that fun, and some of the story isn't as airtight as, well, you know. But honestly, I can forgive some of the narrative misses. On its own, the story is effective and it sets the groundwork for the amazing improvements the remake did. I definitely recommend playing both of these games for yourself. The remake is available on all modern consoles, and the original is just $20 on Steam, and the mods you can just snap from Nexus Mods, and the installation is piss easy. If you haven't already played it, I hope I convinced you to play it because it's so beloved and discussed 20 years later for a good reason. And if you did play it, leave a comment down below. I'd like to hear if you guys agree with me or not, and that and commenting helps boost the video. So anyway, I think I've had enough Resident Evil 4 for a while. Time to eat salad croutons, sip a cold Canada Dry, and watch some Breaking Bad.
Oh man, Resident Evil 4 takes it by a long shot.
This is unfortunate.